Welcome to the Passion Institute podcast. I'm Shivani Gupta, I'm your host. Today, I want to talk about passion in the age of AI. Passion feels old. It feels something that we started talking about with the passion of Christ maybe a long time ago, maybe up to 2,000 years ago. But AI is new. It's kind of taking over repetitive, technical, and creative tasks. It's the one machine that cannot replicate the human spark, our passion. And so, where does this passion fit into the age of AI? That's what I want to kind of explore. I might not be able to give you, here are the 10 tips. It may pose more questions for you than where you are sitting today. But as we see more and more of our conferences, more and more of our narrative, more and more news and items which are now covered with AI, because it is absolutely, without a doubt, going to revolutionize the way that we live. Which parts will be great? I don't know. Which parts will be terrible? I don't know. But it is absolutely, we are on the edge of it, and it is going to do that. So I want to talk about it from my lens of what passion looks like in the age of AI. Passion is something that I have immersed myself in, been obsessed about for close to 20 years, 20 years plus probably. And so what can we do? Well, AI, we know, can learn the skills in seconds. But passion, as I said, is something that is deep, that is personal, that is this wanting to create, the wanting to connect with other humans. It is wanting to contribute to other humans. And so what makes us stand out, what makes us stay relevant, how do we find joy in our working lives, is going to be something that becomes even more so in the age of AI. We do know that, however, in this AI age, how do we fuel our creativity and our resilience and our meaning so that you can tap into whatever it is that you're doing and create the future that you wish to? So AI, we know, is absolutely changing the rules of the game. We know that it is mastering the technical skills faster than any human could. We know that the fact that the value of pure functional skills, where you're just performing a particular function, is going to decrease over time. And so what it is that we do, but what about emotional connection? What about authenticity? What about the human perspective? Where I guess those things, even in the AI age, are going to become our differentiators. They're the ones, when we do more work on that, reflect on that, get obsessed by it, we will start to create the difference that it is that we want to do. The other thing that I wanted to do is that your passion really, I guess, drives your creativity. Your passion is the one when you want to solve a particular problem, whether that be in your home, in your city, in your state, in your country, or even globally. It's what fuels our curiosity. It's where we start to think about what are the gaps and problems that we want to solve. That point of exploration then helps us take those risks and who we are and who we want to become. And so it gets us to, we get inspired by new ideas or approaches, particularly as an entrepreneurs in the world, in terms of what we do. But AI can't feel itself into that. And so, for example, when we feel a human suffering and we want to close the gap around that, often that comes from a passion of wanting to solve that or eliminate that particular problem. And AI can't feel its wells through that. So I still believe that passion is going to continue to drive creativity. It's going to continue to drive innovation. And I believe that the breakthroughs will come and innovations will come from people that are deeply invested in their work. And let's take a scale of 10, just to make it simple, that if 10 is that deep, soulful, meaningful work, and 1 is kind of above the surface, and let's say you currently sit at a 4 or 5, in the age of AI, I think that those roles have potentially a way of getting wiped out. I believe we need to access the 7, the 8s, the 9s, and the 10s, because we want to do things that we are deeply connected into the core struggles of humanity so that we can look at things differently. What about motivation? How does AI get its motivation? Well, it's a systematic robotic thing, whereas I still believe that passion sustains the motivation. You know, AI will absolutely make things faster than any human can do that. And that's where we want to incorporate it. But it'll work on, the why of what we do, when we take things like the TEDx talk that became infamous with Simon Sinek and the book Start With Why, the why stuff is still going to be human. The why stuff is still going to be fueled by our passion. But I guess the how and the pace of things, or if we can automate things, that's where AI is going to come in, very handy. What about when there's setbacks? There will be setbacks in what you're trying to pursue, but your passion will help you work through those setbacks. It'll help you adopt to change. It creates that internal motivation that helps you work on things so it doesn't feel like a chore. And the things that feel like a chore are the ones we want to outsource to AI and see if it can do things faster and better than us. Passion also builds that human connection. And there's a lot of conversations I'm seeing around analog versus digital. It's kind of going to be analog and digital, I believe. And so, you know, in this tech heavy world, one of the things that's important that's going to become almost a premium, almost a currency, is this no need for human relationships, this human connection that we look for. Passion is contagious. When we speak to people about it, it inspires teams, it inspires people, communities, and even countries and customers. AI does not have the ability to be able to do that. So having stories that are passionate, that are meaningful, that talk about your why, that talk about the gaps that you're trying to fulfill are going to be more meaningful rather than statistics or automation. So if you start to break your role up, I can also break some of my role up into the stuff that's going to happen without me, which I can outsource to AI, and the other stuff that is really deep and really, really personal. So how do we discover and grow in your passion in the world of AI? What does that mean in the AI era? Because a lot of people are, worried about losing their roles or not knowing what parts to shift. And I always say to people, whether it's 20 years ago, 100 years ago, or in 5 years' time, where there'll be lots of AI in our lives, you still want to reflect on the moment where you felt most alive. You still want to reflect on moments where you felt most in flow. You want to experiment with new things. Avoiding AI is crazy. We have to learn how to embrace it. You may not have 10 hours a day to work on it, but allow 15 or 30 minutes a day in your diary as an action item each day to just continue to learn about it beyond ChatGPT. Align some of your skills and your areas of expertise in things that you deeply care about, because that deep care is going to serve you more and more in the era of AI. And also use AI, to free up the time so that you've got more time to do passion-related work. I heard a great quote, and I've heard this a number of times from different people, so I'm not sure where it starts or emanates from, but it talks about it's not that we won't need people, it's that we'll need people that use AI. So even when I look at my remote team, they're all now using AI to help generate some of the things that they don't need to spend 5 or 6 hours generating. They might just get those ideas that fuel different things, and then they are able to do their work faster, which then when they work in my business helps me do my work faster. So how do you free up your time so in fact you do more passion related work and do more things that are relevant to you? I also believe that the future will lend itself, the future will belong itself more to people that are deeply passionate about things. People that were really passionate about things are going to stand out in recruitment processes. They're going to stand out in leadership. They're going to stand out in entrepreneurship because they're not doing it. They're working out ways to get faster with AI, but they deeply care about their subject, or they deeply care about their problem that they're trying to solve. And I believe that passion-led careers are also going to flourish because I believe that they'll be more fulfilling. They'll be where you don't need to constantly work on your resilience because you're fueled from something greater within you. And I believe that AI can mimic knowledge really well, faster than any human beings, and it will continue to grow, get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I don't know if it will, really mimic the heart. So what do you do here from that? One of the things you've got to start thinking about is, well, where am I if that was on a scale of 1 to 10? what do I do, in difference, differently in the future? How can I get up to, if I can get up to 8 or 9, if I'm at a 5, how do I even just get up to the 6? So I think that in this world that we are living in, artificial intelligence, which is moving at lightning speed, I think that it can analyze the things that humans used to do and maybe not that well. It can analyze the huge databases and data sets in seconds, and what took us hours and even weeks. It can design graphics, it can write copy, it can even compose music. It's only going to get better and better and better. So if machines can do that much, the question for us becomes, what's left for us to do? And I believe that the answer is, the edge we'll always have is our human spark. It's our passion. It's the part that will differentiate us. And skills just by themselves aren't going to cut it anymore. AI can learn new skills in seconds. But what about passion? How does it learn passion? I'm not sure. I don't think that is very easy to program into a machine. We can program it to appear passionate, but it does not mean that it will be passionate, because passion is something that is deep. It's this drive to connect. It's this part that makes your work and your life more meaningful. It's the part that, that's going to really test your why more than ever before, I believe. And so, as we talked a little bit earlier, I believe that passion will drive that creativity and innovation. When you're passionate, you'll explore more, you'll take more risk. And what you'll use is perhaps AI to connect the dots for you, and also get it to do some of the thinking around what you can connect. Breakthroughs ideas won't just come from doing a job, because they've always been coming from people who are deeply obsessed about a problem or even a dream. And I think the other part, as we've talked about, is that passion will sustain that motivation. People will stay in things, stick with things, use AI in terms of what we do. They'll use AI to do the mechanics of things, but it's the passion that will keep you going in terms of doing that. So if you thought about your career or your business in a 1 or 3 year, rather than go, oh my goodness, AI is changing and now I need to think the next 3 or 6 months, I want to challenge that. I want to almost go, what are you deeply going to care about for a decade ahead of you? And now work out how to use AI to help you build that. I believe that the passion is about human connection. It's a world full of automation. Human relationships are going to become more valuable. Passion is contagious. It's something, when we start speaking about, starts to inspire people around us, whether they're our customers, our teams, our communities. And we want to be able to do that. And that feeling that you get when you are living in your passion cannot be replaced by AI. So I hope that today's episode got you thinking deeply. Maybe it's posed more questions around where you are, who you are, and how you want to do different things. If you've ever got any questions, please let us know through LinkedIn, or Passion Institute, or Ask Shivani. And if you can take a moment to rate and review the podcast on Apple, we would so greatly appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in.